Hey everybody, today by request I thought I would do a little Q&A. So let's get started. Probably not going to be as much art today. I might put something on the screen if it helps answer some questions. Other than that, it's just going to be a talking head. Anyway, so these are just some questions I've received over YouTube. I also kind of just have received some very common questions that I'm just going to kind of glom together and answer on in one big piece. So let me jump into some of these. So, first one, what advice do you have for yourself when you are discouraged when seeing someone better than yourself? It's an odd question, but I'm at that point. So this is a very common experience for any artist and really any human being. Human beings just compare ourselves to others. And when we find ourselves lacking, we just feel bad about ourselves. So that's very common. That having been said, I want to kind of relate my experience. So when I started working at Disney Interactive, I was working with several different artists, all of whom were better than me in some way. And the truth is, Disney Interactive as a studio, I mean, even outside of visual development, there were people doing all sorts of jobs, but you could see just like on the side, their personal work, they were also doing art that was just way better than I could hope to do. So it was an art studio full of amazing artists and full of artists that were better than me. Well, what happened after working in there for, 3 years, I felt like I saw the most personal growth as an artist that I had ever seen. And in many ways, you always want to be the worst artist in the studio. If you're the worst artist in the studio, that means you're going to grow and you're going to get better. You may not have the option to work in a studio with lots of artists that are better than you, that are going to push you to grow. However, you can kind of create a little studio for yourself by how you respond to those types of pieces of art. So when you come upon something that's really good, that's so good that it makes you want to give up and really discourages you, and you're just like, your mind is blown by how they're accomplishing what they're accomplishing, save that image. I would totally recommend getting a Pinterest page and starting to save anything that inspires you, but especially when you kind of have a negative reaction to it, when you feel discouraged by that, especially save that, because that means it's probably something that's touching a nerve in an area that you need to grow. So in this way, you can kind of create this studio where you can be the worst artist. You create this Pinterest page that has all these artists that are better than you, and just started getting into the habit of, rather than being discouraged or kind of pushing away that experience of discouragement when you see someone who's better than you, embrace it and really take it as an opportunity to challenge yourself and grow and follow those artists. Ask yourself, how are they doing what they're doing? Try to pick it apart. Try to make copies of the work and just try to grow as an artist. Next question, how do you personally go about thumbnailing your comic? So I'm going to do a longer video later that's going to show my process for doing page development, like developing a page from beginning to end. I'll go into more detail of that when I get to that. You can also look on my Instagram page. If you search through my Instagram page, you'll see some images from my sketchbook where I did some thumbnailing, and you can see what I do. Next one, did you go to college? If so, where? What was your major and what was your experience like? So yes, I went to college. I went to BYU in Provo, Utah. I think I had a fantastic experience. I actually studied film while I was at BYU, and I made some student films, and I wrote some scripts and did lots of storyboards. I also tried to take as many art classes as I could while I was there and took some figure drawing classes and such. And when I got out of school, obviously I haven't continued with film. I went into art, but I feel like studying film gave me a really great foundation for understanding storytelling. So that was my experience. I mean, you don't necessarily have to study animation or art to be able to do art and animation. I mean, I would say that most of the experience I gained on the job, and I gained just from on the internet, looking at tutorials and trying things out. So you really do have the opportunity to do that if you would like. So we got another question along the same lines. I'm 15 years old, and I started to take art seriously. I'd like to work as an animator. Here's some things I do. The question is, should I go to art school? Do you think I should continue drawing at home or should I go to art school instead? This is really tough. This is really an individual question. It depends on what you want to accomplish as an artist. There are fantastic schools for learning art, animation, illustration, and visual development. So I'm not going to be one of these guys that says, like, don't waste your time. It might be the right fit for you. That being said, if you do want to try to learn things online and on your own, it is possible. Now, I do want to kind of getting back to some of the other points I made. One of the things you gain from college is you have the chance to work with a lot of other people that are trying to do the same thing as you. You have a chance to network with those people, to collaborate with those people, but also remember this whole idea of wanting to be the worst artist in the studio. If you're by yourself working at home trying to learn, guaranteed you're going to be the best artist in the studio, which is not what you want. So there is an opportunity by going to college of being able to push yourself with other people and network with other people and grow together as a group. So that's one thing to consider as well. All right, so let's see. As an artist, did you ever feel obsessed with one particular area in drawing or type of character? Liking to draw something more than anything else as part of something being a personal fantasy is something you really fantasize about. I don't have any particular obsession that I'm really into with drawing. I think that's a perfectly normal thing, though, that sometimes people have one particular interest and that's all they want to draw. Some people love drawing cars, some people like drawing tech. If there's one thing I probably am most interested in, it's faces and facial expressions. That's what the majority of my sketchbook is filled with. And I also do like story. So, I mean, story is always kind of at the core of what I do as an artist. But other than that, I don't have any single fantasy or obsession that has tied together all my work. Okay, this one is kind of a more general one. This is in response to my video on why I quit my dream job at Disney. I've had lots of responses kind of saying like, boo-hoo, like so sad for you, how awful to work at Disney, like basically implying that I shouldn't really be complaining about having had a job at Disney. And those comments are totally right. One thing I really should have pointed out in that video is that working at Disney Interactive was one of the best opportunities of my life. It was an incredible place to work. I grew a lot while I was there. I learned a lot while I was there. So if I could kind of try to make my point clear about the video, that video is more about what our art culture should be. It's not really about my personal desire as an artist, feeling like I am not being fulfilled because I'm at Disney, even though I did come to a point where I wasn't fulfilled and I wanted to move on. I was really trying to make more of a point about like, this is how our system works. Here's how it's not working, and here's what I think could help make it work in another way. So, that being said, and being very grateful for my experience having worked at Disney, there did come a time where I felt like I wanted to do something else. Like I wanted to have a greater challenge, and it was something that Disney couldn't provide for me. I'm also in a place where I have the ability and the opportunity to do that and to try that, and I feel like I should. I feel like it would be kind of disrespectful and a waste of time to not take the opportunity when I can. And the hope is that by me taking that opportunity and trying to do something a little bit different than what the rest of the system is doing, that hopefully I can open up opportunities for other people to do the same. So, that being said, there is something kind of selfish about it too, that I want to, find better personal fulfillment in the art that I do. So, and I'm not going to apologize for that. I'll own that. And I didn't find it at Disney, so I moved on. So anyway, all right, thank you for your videos. What are your biggest influences? Comics, movies, literature, life, etc. That's a really, really tough one because I'm now 40 years old and you experience a lot of things in 40 years of life. Some quick ones. I grew up in a religious background. I grew up Mormon, although I'm no longer affiliated with the LDS Church. It still has a big effect on who I am, how I see the world, and I don't regret having had that experience. Other things that have influenced me, I think at a very early age, seeing Little Mermaid and seeing Akira, I kind of saw those both at the same time, were two movies that had a very big influence on the things that mattered to me, what I wanted to do in my life. And those are the things that kind of started me on this course of wanting to do art. Judge Dredd, the comic book, that was the first comic book I read as a kid, and all of those 2000 AD comics, Strontium Dog and Nemesis the Warlock, those had a big influence on me. That kind of humor and the grotesqueness, the overtop nature of those stories probably still affects the stuff that I do now. Movies, it's hard to say with movies. Like I said, I studied film. One thing you will see, some people have noticed reading Green Monk that it's very influenced by Tarkovsky. I do love Tarkovsky's Andrei Rublev, so that was definitely an influence. So that's a very quick overview. I'm sure I could name lots and lots of things, and I'm still influenced. I see stuff every week. What's the name of the book? I just read recently this one summer, and the name of the collaborative team that did it escapes me. It's Cousins. But anyway, I'll put that in the description. That was a huge influence on me. I read that. I loved everything about it. And you can actually see the influence of that in the last chapter of Green Monk if you look carefully. Is there ever any communication or collaborative effort between the visual arts team and the music production team when working on video games? I never experienced that, which is kind of sad to me. I think that would have been awesome to collaborate more with the music production team. I was in visual development, and my kind of sense is that if you're a creative director, you'd probably be working closely with music. Other than that, if you are working with art, you're probably not going to have anything to do with the music production. This is kind of to answer lots of comments I've had. So I've had lots and lots and lots of comments about all the disgusting sounds I'm making with my mouth, especially in my Why I Quit My Dream Job at Disney video. So when I made that video, I didn't have the best equipment. I'm a big believer in always starting cheaply with any endeavor, just so you aren't risking more that's necessary. So when I started this YouTube channel, I started with a cheap camera. I started with the cheapest equipment I could, and I don't regret it. A lot of people have said they're grossed out by my mouth sounds, and it might have something to do with my mic I was using at that time, and also probably has something to do with the fact that I'm always kind of just congested, and maybe I'm just kind of a gross dude. But anyway, I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm not going to change it. I'm not going to go back and do the audio on it. If you're grossed out by my mouth sounds, sorry. I've tried drinking water. I've tried eating Sour Patch Kids, and I'm just a lip-smacking guy. All right. Do you think it's important to draw digitally today? I see you're still using paper, but would you consider using Wacom for the same? How important do you think it is learning to draw and paint today? I think learning to draw and paint today is incredibly important. I think having experience with as many different media is important. I draw digitally all the time. I think the 80% of my experience as an artist has been doing work digitally on a tablet or on a Cintiq. I still color all my comics on a Cintiq. But I would say that the media that you use affects the type of work that you can produce. And so there are benefits you can get to painting traditionally and to inking traditionally. The foremost of which is the opportunity to work in an environment that is not in front of a computer monitor in an office. So part of the issue is that you have a human brain, and human brain is stimulated by variety and by novelty. And sometimes drawing in the same place in the same way all the time is going to limit the amount of stimulation that your brain can get, and that can limit your creativity. So working in different media, experimenting with different things, working digitally in different ways, working with different types of physical media, that all can stimulate your creativity. It can make you a better artist, can help you generate better ideas. So yes, work digitally, yes, work traditionally, work in every way you can. It'll only make you a better artist. All right. Oh, and this is kind of an add-on to this. Also, do you think the digital revolution has killed the gallery space in a way? I'm not really a gallery artist, so I can't really speak to this, but from the little that I know, the gallery space is not hurting. Contemporary art right now is a huge business. It's basically where all the multi-billionaires are investing all of their extra money. It's kind of an investment vehicle now. So if you can get into those galleries that the super rich people are investing in, it can be a really awesome opportunity. And like I said, going back to my other point, we're kind of increasingly living in this world that isolates people. I mean, you can live so much of your life alone at home, and sometimes we see that as a benefit. Look, I can watch any movie I want from home. I can order stuff and it comes to my home. I can play video games at home. I can connect to my friends through Facebook at home. But that limits your experience. You're isolated, you're staying in your home, and you can never replicate that experience of actually being in a gallery space by sitting down in front of your computer. So as long as a gallery still can present a unique opportunity and a unique experience, it's still going to be valuable. And I don't see that happening anytime soon. I don't see that changing anytime soon. All right, and the last question is just the other one I get all the time, tons and tons of questions about, is what tool am I using in a certain video? I have made a video about tools. I'm just going to remind everyone that I do have a video all about tools. I'm going to include a link to that, and I'm going to include it in the description just as another reminder that I've made a link about tools. So that's my Q&A. I hope I answered some interesting questions for you guys today. If you guys have any other questions, I'll definitely do this Q&A again. Let me know if this is something you want to do again, or if you just want to see me drawing more pretty pictures. Anyway, any other comments, thoughts, leave them below. Please like, please subscribe. I will answer my phone, and we'll talk to you next time. This is Brandon. Telemarketer.